In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 700 kilometers from the nearest city, there's a rock that rises almost vertically out of the sea to a height of 562 meters. It is only 300 meters wide. The walls drop straight into shark-filled water on 3 sides. There's no beach, no harbor, no flat ground. Getting onto it requires jumping from a boat onto a wave-soaked rock face in open ocean. The climb to the top has never been completed without at least one near-fatal incident. And for most of history, barely anyone had even heard of it. This is Ball's Pyramid, and it may be the most terrifying place on Earth to hold a rope. And somehow, it is also home to an unlikely inhabitant once thought completely extinct. Ball's Pyramid is the tallest volcanic sea stack in the world. A sea stack is what remains after millions of years of ocean erosion eat away the softer rock surrounding a volcanic plug, leaving only the hardest, most resistant core standing. This particular core is what remains of a shield volcano that last erupted around 7 million years ago. The ocean has had that entire time to strip away everything except this. It sits 20 kilometers southeast of Lord Howe Island, a small Australian territory in the Tasman Sea between Sydney and New Zealand. Lord Howe Island itself is one of the most remote inhabited places in Australia, home to fewer than 400 permanent residents. Ball's Pyramid is 20 kilometers beyond even that. The nearest mainland is Sydney, 700 kilometers away. There's nothing around it in any direction except open water. It was named after Lieutenant Henry Lidgebird Ball, who documented it in 1788, the same year the first fleet arrived in Australia. Sailors who spotted it from the sea reportedly assumed the geometric shape was man-made. It is not. Before you can even think about climbing Ball's Pyramid, you need to solve a series of increasingly difficult problems. The first is getting there at all. You fly to Lord Howe Island, a 2-hour flight from Sydney on a small propeller aircraft. From Lord Howe, you arrange a private boat charter to cover the 20 kilometers to the pyramid. The Tasman Sea is not forgiving. The swells around Ball's Pyramid can reach 4 meters, even on a calm day. There's no harbor, no sheltered landing point, no jetty of any kind. The boat anchors in open water, and the team transfers to a small inflatable dinghy to approach the rock. The landing is considered one of the most dangerous parts of the expedition. The only access point is barnacle-covered basalt at the base, constantly washed by waves. You wait for a wave to lift the dinghy to rock level, then jump. Time it wrong, and the wave drops you. Climbers have come back from landing attempts with torn hands and cracked helmets before the climb has even started. Assuming you get on, you then need to carry all your food, water, and gear for the duration of the expedition. Because there's nothing on Ball's Pyramid, no fresh water, no shelter, no flat ground to set up a tent. Teams have historically slept on narrow rock ledges, sometimes roped in with the ocean directly below. The first recorded summit of Ball's Pyramid came on the 14th of February, 1965, Valentine's Day. A team of 4 from the Sydney Rock Climbing Club, Bryden Allen, John Davis, Jack Pettigrew, and David Witham. They had made a previous attempt in 1964 that failed after 5 days when supplies ran out. On their second attempt, they succeeded after a multi-day effort, climbing in stages and sleeping on ledges partway up the rock. The route follows the southwest ridge. From the base, climbers work up steep, loose basalt to a ledge around 100 meters up. Above that, the ridge narrows and the exposure becomes total. Open air and Pacific on both sides. Climbers have looked directly down through their feet at sharks circling below. The rock is unstable throughout. Sections of basalt flake and crumble as you move. Above 400 meters, the final approach to the summit involves a series of near vertical pitches on an extremely narrow ridge with no safe anchor points for long sections. The wind at this height does not behave like normal wind. Ball's Pyramid creates its own vortex as weather systems hit the rock and gusts arrive from unpredictable directions without warning. In 1970, a team was caught on the upper section by a cyclone and spent 3 days pinned to the rock face with no ability to ascend or descend. They survived. The summit itself is a blade of rock roughly the size of a dining table, with sheer drops on every side. There's no room to stand comfortably. There is certainly no room for error. There's one more reason Ball's Pyramid is unlike anywhere else on Earth, and it has nothing to do with climbing. Lord Howe Island was once home to a species called the Lord Howe Island stick insect. Its scientific name is Dryocoxylus australis. Locals called it the tree lobster because it could grow to 15 centimeters in length, had a hard, dark shell, and moved like something from a different era. It was one of the largest insects in the world. Then in 1918, a British supply ship ran aground off Lord Howe Island. Rats escaped onto the island. Within 2 years, the tree lobster had been eaten to extinction. The last confirmed sighting was in 1920. For the next 80 years, it was listed as extinct. In 2001, 2 Australian scientists, David Priddle and Nicholas Carlisle, were conducting a survey of Ball's Pyramid. The stated purpose was to document seabird populations. But Carlisle had heard a rumor, a story passed among researchers, that someone had once found the remains of a large insect on Ball's Pyramid during an earlier visit. On the off chance the species had somehow survived on the rock, they searched the only spot where vegetation grew, a single Melaleuca bush clinging to the rock face at around 100 meters elevation. Beneath it, in the moist soil, they found 24 living Lord Howe Island stick insects, a species that had been declared extinct for 80 years. How they got there, and how they survived on a near vertical rock with almost no vegetation, 20 kilometers from the island where they once lived, has never been fully explained. The working theory is that a seabird carried eggs on its feathers across the water. What is certain is that this single bush on the side of Ball's Pyramid was the only place on Earth where the species still existed. A captive breeding program was launched. As of today, Melbourne Zoo holds a breeding population of several thousand. Plans are in place to reintroduce them to Lord Howe Island once rat eradication is complete. Climbing Ball's Pyramid today is not illegal, but it is as close to impossible as a legal activity can be. In 1982, the Lord Howe Island Act was amended to restrict access to the pyramid. By 1986, the Lord Howe Island Board had closed it entirely. The primary reason was the insect, or rather, the risk that climbers would introduce pathogens, invasive species, or disturb the fragile ecosystem clinging to the rock. Since then, access has required a permit from the New South Wales State Minister responsible for the environment. Permits are issued for scientific research or approved expeditions only. Recreational climbing is not considered a valid reason. The number of permits granted in any given year can be counted on one hand, and some years, none are issued at all. There's one more factor that almost never makes it into the permit paperwork. The weather has to cooperate on the exact days your boat is available, your team is on Lord Howe Island, and the sea state allows a landing. Ball's Pyramid sits in the path of weather systems that cross the Tasman without warning. A 4-day forecast can change completely in 12 hours. Teams have flown to Lord Howe Island, waited out their entire permit window in rain and swell, and returned to Sydney without ever seeing the rock from closer than 3 kilometers. The mountain does not care about your schedule, your permit, or how long you have been planning. It simply waits. Even with a permit, most teams who begin planning never complete the attempt. The climbable weather window is measured in days per year. Marine grade gear, biosecurity protocols, emergency supplies, and a Tasman sea boat charter add enormous cost and complexity. And at the end of all that, you still have to jump off a boat onto a wet rock in open ocean.